You know what time it is? It's time to get in the game with your host, Candid J.
Broncos. October 11, 1964, the Broncos play the powerful Kansas City Chiefs at Bears Stadium. Just before the kickoff, new head coach Max Speedy gathers his squad at the sidelines for a prayer. It's a custom the Denver squad follows before every game. Stars of the game include center Jerry Sturm, shown here with offensive coach Red Miller, quarterback Jackie Lee, who sparks the Broncos with 3 touchdown passes, halfback Charlie Mitchell, second-year man from Washington, and a season-long spark plug for the Broncos. The Broncos start fast, showing plenty of zip on the very opening kickoff. Tommy Brooker's boot is caught by little Odell Berry 2 yards into the end zone. A speedy rookie from Findlay College.
And a good Tuesday evening. Welcome, everyone, to your favorite sports show on the dial, Get in the Game. I'm your host, Tara J, and some of you may be flabbergasted at what you just watched because media just doesn't look like that nowadays, but that's what makes my guest this evening so special because he played in this era. And for you millennials who think you know what football is, you are in for a rude, awesome awakening. This is going to be an exciting show, and I am happy to have with me, I just found out, so I figured I'd tell you, this is the legend himself of Jacksonville. Let's just call him can we call you the mayor? How about we say the mayor?
Okay.
I like that.
Well, my wife called me the mayor.
Oh, okay now. His wife calls him the mayor. This is Mr. Alfred, known to his friends and family, Mr. Al Denson. Welcome to Get in the Game. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Listen, guys, I'm going to tell you now, we have had some amazing offline conversation, and if we have enough time to get to all of it, you are going to be very pleased that you tuned into this evening to this show because this guest is like no other, and I'm excited because most of us were not even born back in the time that you played. So to get an idea of what you faced compared to what players face today, I'm really excited to kind of get your thoughts on what we see currently in the NFL compared to what you had to go through. But let's start from the beginning because no good story is as good as it can be without hearing how it all started. So the cool thing is you were born and raised right here in Jacksonville, Florida.
Right. I was born and raised here in Jacksonville. I went to high school here.
Okay.
Which is James Weldon Johnson. That's the 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. And then I left there and went to Stanton Senior High School, which is 10th, 11th, and 12th. And I finished there in 1960 at Stanton High School.
Okay, so give us kind of an idea. At James Weldon and at Stanton, were you playing sports back then?
I was playing basketball at James Weldon Johnson. We didn't have a football program 7th, 8th, and 9th. We only had football in the 10th, 11th, and 12th and doing Jacksonville at that time.
Okay, so explain to our viewers what it was like to play basketball back in that time at James Weldon Johnson because that was during the time of segregation, correct?
Oh, yes.
Yes, so give us an idea of what you experienced.
It was real low-key at that time because we were on, I guess, 12, 13, 14 years old, so that was the only sports that they had at James Weldon Johnson at that time. We didn't have football like they have now. And basketball was the only thing that the coaches and everything had. They had soccer, basketball, track, and volleyball.
Okay.
That's all they had at James Weldon Johnson. And at the time I was at James Weldon Johnson, we won 2 state championships in the 9th and 9th grade, and then we went on to Stanton from there. And we had some great coaches at that time in 9th grade at James Weldon Johnson.
So how did you get to basketball? Because you ended up playing professional football, but where did your love for basketball come from?
Well, actually, there was no other sports at the school at that time. The only thing we had was basketball, softball, and baseball. We didn't have football at James Weldon Johnson. So I had to wait till I get to the 10th grade in order to play football in the 10th, 11th, and 12th. But I still played basketball 10th, 11th, and 12th. I got the basketball scholarship to go to Florida A&M. I didn't get the football scholarship to go to Florida A&M. I went there on a basketball scholarship.
Okay, so
That's
this
how
is,
good I was.
yeah, okay,
in
tell us.
basketball.
Don't, listen, don't be shy at all. You know, you're the mayor now, so you can kind of, you know, give yourself all the credit you need to. So at the time that you were at James Weldon Johnson,
Right.
so playing basketball, did that prepare you at all for, you know, the next stage of playing football? Because a lot of times athletes will be, they'll do dual sports, and they'll find that, you know, whether it's baseball or something prepares them for another sport. Do you feel that that was the case for yourself?
No, at that particular time, what really happened is that once I left James Weldon Johnson, the head coach over the Stanton was J.P. Small.
Mm-hmm.
And when you got there, it wasn't a choice of what you wanted to do.
Okay.
It was a choice that Coach Small would come to you and say, you are going to play football.
Okay.
Now, if you don't play football, you can't play no ball.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's how I got to start playing football, because you start off in September playing football.
Right.
And basketball is in November.
So basketball was your love.
That was my love, because that's all I had.
Gotcha.
But once I got to Stanton, with my size
Mm-hmm.
and speed, he saw that I could run.
Okay.
He come down to the gym and he let you know, you are going to be out to the football practice this afternoon.
Yeah. So you were forced at that
Simple
point.
as that.
Now you mentioned about your speed. So kind of give us an idea. So at this point at Stanton, what are your stats? I'm sure you weren't 6'2" yet. How tall were you?
I'm 6'3 and a half.
Okay. But at
And I was
Stanton.
at that time, I think I was weighing about 195 pounds.
Woo! You were a big boy.
That's why he said I was going to play football.
Woo!
And I didn't play wide receiver.
Okay.
I played defensive tackle.
Really? Interesting. Okay. Now, what kind of speed were you carrying at that
Well, I had plenty good speed.
size? Okay.
I was kind of second to Bob Hayes, and who was the world's fastest human in Jacksonville.
Okay.
Okay. And during the time that Bob and I was playing, everything in Jacksonville was Al Denson. It wasn't Bob Hayes.
Come through now. Tell us the real truth.
I was basketball in the state of Florida, football in the state of Florida, and track in the state of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
It was Al Denson, one Bob Hayes or nobody during that time. So played track,
Okay.
football, basketball.
Okay.
Got a scholarship to A&M in 1960 on the basketball scholarship.
So now talk about the transition from high school to Florida A&M. So what happens back during that time? Does the coach from FAMU contact you, or does your drill sergeant of a coach who coached you in football kind of say, hey, Al, this is where you're going, this is what you're going to play, and the rest is history?
Well, what happened to me at James Weldon to Stanton, the same thing happened to Florida A&M.
Okay.
Once I got to Florida A&M on the basketball scholarship,
Mm-hmm.
the coach at Florida A&M was Alonzo J. Gator,
Okay.
who was the greatest coach it was in the world.
Okay.
And he was over the program.
Okay.
Once I got there, your basketball scholarship don't mean anything. You are going to be on the football team now. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying.
So that's how that happened.
That's how that happened.
Same thing happened in high school. It happened in
Same thing.
A&M.
So at that point, you're used to people kind of telling you what to do at that point.
In other words, you just go along with the flow.
Gotcha.
At that particular time, because I loved the sports.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to do. So I wanted to play football, basketball, run track, and I did all of that because they'll let you do it if you're good enough. Because each coach want to bring the best out of the material that he got.
Gotcha. So back then, there was no concern of, you're coming on a basketball scholarship. Football season is before basketball, right? So there was no concern of you getting injured on the football field and not being able to play basketball?
No, it was no concern, period, because Jake didn't care whether you played basketball or not.
Okay.
He was going to play football.
Right.
See, because he wouldn't let me play basketball.
Okay.
See, when basketball season started, if I try to sneak out there to coach to play basketball, the head basketball coach was a wide receiver coach on the football team.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And Jake would tell him, I might, fire you or whatever, but I don't want him on that basketball.
Gotcha.
Unless something happened when they need a ball player or something, he'll tell them, well, you could use him. But otherwise, he didn't want me playing basketball because he didn't want you injured or anything. He
Right.
just wanted you to play football.
Right.
And plus, during the time when I was 17 at A&M, I had made All-America.
Okay.
And he didn't want me out there, period.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Not his All-American
No.
football player. Right. Okay. So talk about the moment you or your coach decided, okay, you got something here, Al. We think you can go pro. Let's kind of hone in on your skills. Were you still playing defensive lineman at the time, or when did
No.
the transition happen for
No.
tight end?
When I got to A&M, I was told that I was going to play wide receiver because, see, when I was running track in high school, I was real fast, so he didn't want you to be no defensive lineman. He wanted you to
That
be
fast.
free
Yeah.
to go run and catch a pass and run a touchdown because that's what it was about up there in A&M. You had to score in order to win. Defensive players, because we had a blood, sweat, and tear team. That was 3 teams. Blood was offense, sweat was the defense, and the sweat team always go in to play defense, period. You couldn't go out there with them because they was real rough. You get the best ball players he could get and let them play with the blood team.
Wow.
Now, the sweat team would be like me, who could run fast and catch the pass and get out of the way. You out there, so that's how you had that blood, sweat, and tear on the team.
Now, when you look at high schools and colleges nowadays and the way coaches have these guys practicing, what do you feel is the biggest difference between how you all practiced and performed back in your day versus what you see now?
Well, the difference now is that they got, to be honest, they more organized than we was at
Okay.
that time. So there's no sense in trying to duck that. The coaches and the system in high school now is 10 times better than what we had. So they're more fundamental sound than we was. We just was great athletes. But these boys now are taught fundamentals that they could really beat you. It's just like if you take a high school team at Bowles or Trinity, somewhere like that, who got, majority of white boys on the team. When they come over here to play the black boys, they're going to beat us to death because they more fundamental sound.
Got
than
you.
us. Just
Got
don't-
you.
That's just the difference in it. But during the time when we was playing, it was athletic. It didn't have nothing to do with no fundamentals or nothing. You just beat somebody down.
Beat them up. Blood, sweat,
Right.
tears.
Tears.
Got it. Okay, so one thing that is coming to mind while we're talking is the movie Remember the Titans. Have you seen that movie?
I think that.
Denzel Washington. That's one of my favorite movies. And in that movie, it kind of portrays kind of the time that you played in and just the adversity and the racism that those young men face. When you look at that movie and you look at the life that you experienced as an athlete during that time at FAMU, is there any relation between fighting on the field to be seen as an equal and fighting in your personal life to be not segregated?
Well, actually, you wouldn't be able to adjust to that because we was a segregated team at A&M, and then you didn't
Wow.
never play up against the whites in the first place.
Wow.
It was only when I got to the pros that happened. Segregated and stuff like that. But once we was at A&M, we didn't never play against Florida State or anything like that. We probably could have beat them, but we couldn't play against them. They didn't even get 1968 is when they got the first black athlete to go to Florida State.
Wow.
And we was up there in 1960, 61, 62,
Right,
64,
before then.
64. And that wasn't known in the state of Florida. You had to leave here and go to the Big Ten schools, Michigan, Notre Dame, Ohio State, like that. They took black boys at that particular time when I was coming up through high school.
And one thing we were talking about offline is the difference between, the black men who went to FAMU and the black men who went to Michigan. How were coaches choosing, who gets to go where? So why were you not offered a scholarship per se out of Michigan or a school maybe up north versus being somewhat forced, if not, to go to FAMU?
Well, I've always thought about that too, why we wasn't able to go to the Big Ten schools. I think it was because the Big Ten schools didn't come south to Florida to get into the black kids. They always went to the real segregated towns where they knew they could control the boys when they got them. They went to Alabama and they went to Georgia.
That's the
The
furthest
boys
south they
in
went.
Florida couldn't go to the Big Ten schools during that time. They recruited Alabama, Georgia, and those boys was trained when they got there. They knew they would be able to deal with the situation on campus. If we would have went up there, we wouldn't have been able to make it going to those Big Ten schools. Because we was trained in high school that we was better than them white boys. See, we was trained that way. In other words, it was a matter of you kill a mosquito with an axe. And you 10 times better than a white boy if you gonna make it. That's how I made it. See, I already know when I got to the lead, I'm 10 times better than a white boy in the beginning.
Gotcha.
And I had to prove that.
Yeah.
See, it wasn't a matter of talking about he gonna pick me out. I had to show him up so bad till the coach didn't have a choice.
Gotcha.
But I was taught this
at an early age. Yeah.
From Jane Weldon to Stanton to Jake Gates. He would teach you whatever you're gonna do when you get there. And all of us went there. A&M, we had so many boys from A&M to play in the pros during that time. You don't have not one up there in the last 35 years.
Wow.
But during the time we was at A&M, we had at least 30 to go to the pros.
Wow. And the difference you're saying was because of the way you got, what was ingrained in you from the coaching staff. But from the beginning, not just when you got to college, you had been hearing you're better, you're more athletic, you're bigger, you're faster, you're stronger. You had been hearing that since middle school.
Well, what we really heard was that, and this is just honest truth.
Yes.
If you segregate, when you segregate it, if somebody don't teach you that you're better than that Caucasian, you're not going to be anything. We was taught that you was better than the Caucasian. See, they don't teach that now. They don't teach anything. They teach you equal to him. They don't know you ain't equal to him, period. You can forget that.
Wow.
That's right now. You might think you is just because you got the CEO job making 7 figures a day, but that don't matter. You're not equal to him. That's simple as that.
Yeah.
And I hate to say that around people. You know, my daughters, and I talk to them, they know how I talk to them on the jobs and things. You got to know what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
But you're not equal to the Caucasian still.
Right. And that's real because that's what you experienced.
Right.
So let's talk about the first game because if I heard you correctly, at FAMU, your opponents were African-American teams. You didn't get to play any there was no Caucasian opponents until you got to the pros.
Everybody was, during that time, everybody was colored at that time.
Yes, okay. So before we jump there, because I remember we had a conversation offline, and I almost forgot to ask you about this because I want our viewers to hear, we had a conversation about Bob Hayes, right? And so you were kind of like his mentor, and he followed you to FAMU, correct?
Well, actually, we went there together.
Okay.
He was at Gilbert High School.
Okay.
And he was great there. And I was at Stanton High School.
But you were better.
Yeah, I was. 10 times better.
10 times better.
Not just better.
So we should really have a track meet or a basketball
game.
I
wasn't better than him in that now.
But I mean, he has a track classic named after him. So I think we need to get on the phone to have something named after you.
Well, it should be because I'm the legend in this town. But some kind of way, Bob had all the recognition and he deserved that. And once he went to the Olympics in '64, it was real prejudice during that time, and he won the gold medal in the 440-yard dash and the 100-yard meter. So when they got home, they came back in 1965 and named the Bob Hayes track meet, and it's been that way now for 56 years.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the greatest event we got in Jackson.
Yeah.
Which is the Bob Hayes track meet.
Yeah.
And he deserved all of that, period. But now when we was in high school, it was just Alfred Denson.
It was his show.
And we went to Florida A&M.
Okay.
It was just Alfred Denson.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying.
And he was running track then. But he never did make All-American or anything like that playing football. But I was a full-time All-American.
Gotcha. So give us a story about Bob that we don't get to hear, maybe a personal story that you have with you and Mr. Bob Hayes.
Well, one thing about Bob that you got to understand, he was very likable. He was a lovable person. And he didn't go through the motion of trying to impress anybody because he was always out front. And he been that way all his life until he died. He like an entourage. See, an entourage means you like people to follow you. You like to be boasted up, and you like people to talk about you and this and that. I never was like that. Then, like I said, I always been free. I didn't want to be bothered around with that.
You've
because
always
they already
been free,
know
yes.
that they don't care anything about you if you can't milk them. See, and they milked Bob all of his life. You know what I mean? Wonderful he was, they took advantage of him for years because he wanted to be
out front.
That, and once you want to be something and whatever, all you got to do is find people. Well, all we got to do is put him on that TV and let it be seen and spread his chest. You know what I mean? And we could follow him, and he gonna take us to the mountaintop. And that's what happened to him all his life.
So they rode fame on his back.
They rode him hard.
Yeah, and you
In
wouldn't
other
have
words,
anything to do
as they called it during the time we was coming up, they didn't ride the white pony, they rode the white horse.
Ooh.
That's what we say as athletes.
Gotcha. Okay. So now talk about, because before you went to the league, you made the transition at some point to tight end, right?
No. When I went to Florida A&M, I was just a wide receiver, period.
Gotcha.
That's
okay.
all we did. When I went to the pros, I went
you.
there as a wide receiver. But they had two white boys playing wide receiver. So they moved a little black boy to tight end.
Okay.
That was me.
Okay.
And they figured that I wouldn't do anything at tight end, but I still went on and was great at tight end. But the two white boys playing flank and split end, they couldn't even tote my shoestring, but that wasn't the point.
Yes.
The point is they didn't keep with three of you in the first place.
Three of you.
The word they used is three Negroes.
Okay.
But the real word was three niggas at that time.
Okay.
Okay. And they didn't keep with three on the team.
Okay.
And they didn't keep with 30 ball players on the team in 64. They keep 54 now. So can you imagine 30 ball players, and they only keep 3 blacks on the team, and they bring 40 blacks in with the other 27 white. They're going to keep the 27 whites, and they're going to keep 3 out of the 50 blacks. And that was just real bad.
Yeah.
And then when you leave town and go and play, you didn't have good hotels and things like that. You had to stay in different hotels. The hotels that had the white, they go there, and the hotels that didn't take blacks, we had to go to another hotel. Those things was real bad, but then during that time, you didn't think about anything like that. All you was thinking about is, like Bob is, I'm showing up in front of the TV. I'm out there running around. I'm Hollywood. So you didn't think about how bad it was.
You were sleeping. Yeah.
You understand what I mean?
Yes.
I can think about it now because that's after the fact. But during the fact, you didn't think about it.
You're just happy to be there.
You was happy to be there, and you've been blessed to do that. You coming from Jacksonville. No one in the whole city have ever been there. And you the first one to go there and accomplish something, and the first one to come back, and then everybody have followed you. So I'd be happy with whatever going on. All of the wide receivers, I was the first one, and you've got 42 done went to the pros since I
After you.
left.
Wow. Now let's talk about how you got there, because in 1964 we had the AFL and the NFL. And you happen to be, now correct me if my stats are wrong, you happen to be drafted the 7th round, right, by 2 different teams. The Eagles, which I could just have a meltdown here on set because as my Get in the Game family knows, that's my team. You did not choose my team. Right, okay. So you were drafted same year, same round by 2 different teams. I think pick 47 and pick 72. Right. So the Eagles.
72 by the Eagles.
So they messed up.
No.
They should have went up.
At that time, they was fighting over dollars.
Okay.
And Philadelphia was powerful in the National Football League.
Thank you for saying that.
They didn't have to give you any money at all. But the AFL was fighting to get stars in the AFL.
Okay.
So what they did is give you funds in order for you not to go to the National Football League.
Okay. So some of that was still going on back then.
Everything is the same.
Wow. As my dad said, there's
It's the
nothing
same.
new around the
Right.
sun.
In other words, when I went to the Broncos, we was on the field. We just had played Jackson State and beat Jackson State in 1963 in the Orange Bowl.
Okay.
And the owner of the Denver Broncos came, and
To the game.
the owner of the Philadelphia Eagles came. They wasn't owners then; they were scouts.
Okay.
But they came and scouted you out. And then the Eagles came and told me what they was going to offer me. Said, we'll offer you, let's say, $10,000 or whatever, you know. And then Coach Gaither, he was right there listening. He said, yeah, we want that, and we want. But then the Bronco man came and offered me. He said, you see that right there? This was a 63 yellow, canary yellow Riviera at the airport.
Yeah.
He said, I'll give you that, and I'll build you a house,
Wow.
and I'll give you $65,000.
Okay. Yeah.
And you know where I went.
Yeah. Now.
Simple as that.
Yeah, simple as that. I mean, and that car
And
would
during
still.
that time,
yeah.
that was like Jesus money. I never had $5.
Yeah.
I couldn't even drive the Riviera. My roommate had to get me licensed
Wow.
just to drive the car.
Wow.
And how about he kept the car while we was in college? Because I'm still in college.
Right at the time. So when you say Coach Gaither was right there.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Oh, he got pissed off with me so much when I got with the Broncos because they didn't want to give him no money.
Okay, so that is the question I was going to ask. Back then, was your coach getting a little piece of the pie too back then?
Yeah, but he didn't get anything from the Broncos. And when I went back up to A&M, like my room and stuff was deleted. I was still staying at, Gibbs Hall. When I got back up to A&M, I'm going to my room. I don't have no room no more.
Wow.
He done deleted me out of the room. Then I got to go in French Hall and, get a whole apartment.
Wow, because you didn't choose the team that was going to pay.
Jake didn't make any money off of it.
Wow.
But he made money off of everybody else.
Wow.
He made money off of Bob because Bob followed me later. But he had like Paramore. He had so many ball players that was good, he made money off of them. And he did a good job of doing that. But only when Denver came, he only wanted us to go to the NFL. And the Broncos was new people.
In the AFL.
And he caught me at the airport going to get back on the plane to go back to Tallahassee after we beat Jackson State. And he said, hey, I got a picture of it home, with me and him and all of us on the field signing the contract then. And he said,
wow.
You want that car right there? And I didn't know what he was talking about. I'm looking at it. It was pretty canary yellow Riviera. And then when I got that, and Bob went back the next year and got him a blue canary Riviera. That's just how we was bad at
Yeah.
But it was real nice then.
So when you look at, the decision you made to choose the Broncos over the Eagles, right? And you also decided to go with the AFL because it was a new league looking for new stars. What about kind of creating your own path was so exciting for you that you would make that decision? And would you do it all over again if you had the chance?
Well, I definitely would do it all over again. I would definitely choose the AFL because at that time, they was really taking care of the black ball players. All of them had black superstars. The National Football League didn't have nothing like that. They had Jim Brown and stuff like that, but I'm just saying, you coming out of black school like A&M and all of that, you wasn't going to go nowhere. Bob only went to the Cowboys because he went to the Olympics and was a superstar in the Olympics winning the gold medal. No one else from them small schools ever went to the Cowboys. Or the Eagles or nothing like that. Small college schools didn't go there. Only big-time schools, black boys went to those schools. That was really the reason most black boys went to AFL.
Okay.
Because all of the great black ball players like Otis Taylor, Ward. There was another boy named Real Ward, but he was real good. He dead. And then Otis Taylor played with the Kansas City Chiefs. They won the first Super Bowl over the Green Bay, over the Minnesota Vikings. And he was real great. And you had big boys playing like 6'9".
Wow.
300 pounds. They all came out of Grambling. But they had to go to the AFL. Buck Buchanan, Carl, you know, it just was real nice the way it was set up.
Gotcha.
But after they started letting 14 blacks play on the team, the AFL went and got all the blacks, and everybody had black teams. The NFL had white teams.
Wow.
The AFL had black teams.
So again, you see segregation.
Right.
Right. So let's go back really quickly to your class, because when you went out in 1964, you have Steve Spurrier, you have Bob Greasy, you have Mel Farr, Floyd Little, Gene Upshaw. When we see the NFL now, it's been exposed as being so political. Back then, you know, with the two different leagues, was it just as political then as it is now?
Well, really, during that time, it was probably political, but we just couldn't see the political part of it because we were just interested in being athletes at that particular time. We knew that was the prejudice thing was going on, but the politics thing, we didn't even know it was really a business. In other words, the only reason you know it was a business is when you see competition between white and black.
Yeah.
But for as dictating to you to do this or to do that, they didn't do that because they needed you and they let you know that they needed you. We had to survive the AFL. We was in a surviving move where they had to have us to compete against the NFL.
Yeah, yeah.
So we was then put in a better position. Now the boys in the NFL, they was catching puny hell.
Catching what?
They was catching hell, see.
Gotcha.
They dictated to them any kind of way they wanted to. But they couldn't do it to the AFL ball players because we had so many blacks on the team. But they didn't have that many. They still was segregated in the NFL. Right.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So you're with the Broncos for 8 years. Talk about your experience, Mile High Stadium. From you had played there, right?
Right.
In the champion against Jackson State,
Right.
but now you're living there. You have a home there. Your family's there. Talk about the difference of, you know, visiting the state versus living in the state, being a player on the state, and surviving the different transactions that happen over the course of 8 years for a team, and the fact that you said they only keep 3 African Americans at that time.
Well, one thing about it is, to be honest, like I say, I always been a different type of person playing. I never stayed there.
Okay.
When the season was over with, I caught the first plane flying up out of there.
Okay.
See, I always been me. I wasn't going to be trained by them to be black, white, neither. It didn't make no difference.
What do you mean trained by them to be
Well,
white?
the team will do you the same way you've been done. They'll try to do you any kind of way. In other words, they'll get you and orientating you to go to this meeting, you for us, without any pay, no money involved with it. In other words, you'll become orientated a Caucasian and don't even know you won.
Wow. Wow.
Because you love the camaraderie, the whatever. But I was trained that I know I didn't have that. When I was coming up, I was ragged as a mango tree, so it didn't make me no difference by staying up there with them with that.
Yeah.
So I have the first plane leaving when Denver was the season over and come back to Jacksonville. And at that time, I had the house because I wasn't no more than 21, and they had built the house for me, the Broncos.
Right, in Denver.
So I'm 21 sitting up in a house. Jerry, my wife, she 19. We sitting in there. We jitterbugs in the house sitting around. And we still in there now. So, you know, that's how that goes.
So they built the house for you here?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, wow.
They built it here.
Amazing. Amazing.
While we was up there playing, they was building the house.
Wow.
They had gave me the money for the house, but I wasn't old enough to know what to do with the house.
Yeah.
So they had a person over the funds that say, we'll build your house, because that's what I wanted I wanted the car and I wanted the house.
Mm-hmm.
And they took the money and they did that.
Good decision.
Right.
Good decision.
And then I had the house. I done sold the house 3 times. But as I retired, needed money, I sell it and invested in this, pay it off again, sell it again, invested in this. I sold that boy so many times till he don't even know what to do.
Now so you go back and forth to Denver every year. Was there a point in time where you felt like your time was going to be over in Denver, or did you think you were going to be there for your whole career?
No, well, I thought I would be able to stay a while if my body held up. But I never did try to figure out what was going to happen this age, at my age now. You can't plan for how long you're going to live. You can't plan for it. I tried to plan for it, but it just didn't work the way I thought it would work, because I didn't expect, or you didn't know you're going to live this long. In other words, it's hard to say you could play. I played 10 years. I had a good time, made money, did everything it is to do. But you're not qualified to predict what's going to happen to you 50 years later, like it is now, which I love it the way I went through it, but it's hard to say what's happened after you get through playing football. Because 90% of the people who play with me dead.
Yeah.
So they don't even know nothing about what's going on now.
Right now. They're either passed away, no longer with us, or they're suffering from something like CTE. And so when you look at those guys that you played with, what do you think the difference is? Because back then, you know, taking care of your body the way, you know, the guys now have access to trainers and all types of, you know, medical funds, and they're eating healthier, and they have access to, you know, mental health counselors and those things. You didn't have that back then.
No, we didn't have that back then. And the problem is that really the reason that the boys that didn't make it towards what I'm doing now, they never did think about anything like that. They lived for the day. They never thought about tomorrow. See, if you live for the day, that means you balling all day long.
Living reckless.
Living reckless.
Yeah.
You got the money, so you just doing it.
Yeah.
You're not thinking about when you can't run no more, and then you're not making the $1 million no more, because jobs ain't gonna pay you no $1 million. So now you got to figure out how I'm gonna make it off of $2. That's a hell of a thing to do.
Yeah.
You ain't making $10,000 a week back in '64, and now you making $2 a week in 2020.
Yeah.
You can't live off of it. And you don't know how that's going to be.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing about being able to make money when you 20, 21, 22, 30 like that, is because after you get 45, if you're not on the TV like Strahan and them skinning and grinning, whatever. See, I can talk about them because that's what they do. You know, I don't care about what they make.
Yeah.
Because the little $2,000 I might get every month, I can manipulate it. And I'm free to use it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't have to go to do that. You know, I tell them all the time, I say, them boys, they ain't doing nothing but Uncle Tommy now, and they too old to be doing that.
Wow.
But I'm just saying that's the way it is. Stephen A. Smith, all them, you know, I call them all the time. I say, man, y'all need to stop skinning and grinning for them white folks. And they'll come, shut up. Don't call me no more. I'm getting paid, man. I got to get this money. But I do understand that. You know, don't get me wrong. But I do know what they're still doing.
Yeah, yeah. So your time is coming to an end. What ended your tenure there in Broncos with the Broncos and sent you to the Vikings?
Okay, what the tension did?
Yes, what ended the tenure?
Me being arrogant like I am now, got my ass up out of there.
Okay, tell us the story, please.
That's all that was.
Okay, you gonna tell us the story?
When I tell the man that you can't tie my shoestring, and he tell me, I'm the owner of this team.
You told the owner that?
Well, actually, don't be the owner. The head coach is really the owner.
Okay.
You don't really see the owner that much no more. But the head coach will come to you and tell you that, hey, we're going to have to put you on waivers because we need to develop this fella here to play wide receiver, whatever. So I was saying, well, you can't do that to me. You got to go over there and get him because he can't tote my shoestring. Get him, but, So they did that. Got rid of the white boy. But then when I got ready to come back the next year, they got rid of the black boy. They shipped me to Minnesota.
Okay.
So that's how it works.
They traded you.
Traded me to Minnesota.
Okay.
And then when you get to Minnesota, you in a situation there where everybody there white.
Yeah.
Man, go there, man, you looking around. Everybody got a white wife. Well, what the hell going on? You can't say nigga or nothing like that around nobody because what is this, I just couldn't stand it there.
Wow.
Because I was in a different place, didn't know what to do. When you don't know what to do in life, it's bad. Especially when you see somebody in front of your face, like say Alan Page right now, he's a big judge in Minnesota. All them boys are smart. Alan Page, Marshall, Ella, Washington, Henderson, I just named their names backwards. Clint Jones and the big time names coming out of Michigan State, Michigan. But when you get there, all them boys got a Caucasian wife, so you don't know nothing about what to do.
Wow.
You sitting up looking at them, and then it's just a bad situation when you're around something like that because I don't know how they take them home.
Okay. Take home who?
Them girls.
Okay.
Because where they come from, you just can't take them home.
Wow. Yeah.
So you have to change to them.
Change who you are. Yeah.
Do you get where they're coming from? They can't go back to Alabama and Georgia with them where they come from.
Wow.
They was just as ragged as I was coming out of Florida, so I know good well they couldn't take them.
And that was the molding that you were not going to be a part of. You decided early on. Yeah.
I could associate with it.
Yeah.
But when you can't go anywhere and can't say anything, you can't talk to nobody, you can't say anything bad. Racial, wasn't no racial thing up there in Minnesota.
Yeah.
That didn't count.
Yeah. Yeah. So you felt like you didn't belong.
Well, I didn't belong, period. I just had to stay there because the little dollars was good, so I stayed there and ran. I was playing good football.
Yeah.
And, it's just like Rashad was a mentor, but he had come out of Portland,
Ahmad Rashad.
Right.
Yes.
But he was worse than him because he wasn't nobody in Portland but 2 or 3 black boys and nobody but whites that way he come from. So he been that way all his life. He's a wonderful person, but I'm just saying he's just different than night and day. See, he can interview all of the people because he
identifies
he is in another bag where that he can associate with the high class, which is nice, but we never was trained that way from the South. And that's a bad thing to say, but it's just the truth. And I basically been like that all my life.
Gotcha. So did you decide to leave Minnesota or did the team trade you to the Raiders?
No. I decided to leave Minnesota too. That's the same thing happened.
Was it another shoestring story?
No. Wasn't no shoestring story this time.
Okay.
It was a matter of the coaches and things letting me know that they couldn't tolerate my arrogant type of a way because I wasn't that good in the clubhouse. What that means is that, when they rah, I just didn't rah.
Yeah.
When they huddle up and want to do something, I just didn't never huddle up with them to do anything because I know it didn't mean anything. It wasn't going to benefit me, but everybody's supposed to be a team, and you're supposed to rah with something that didn't even account. So when I went back to Minnesota, I just didn't go back.
Yeah.
I didn't go back. That's when I said I'm going to take all my clothes off, catch me a plane, and go back home and swim in my swimming pool. And I ain't been back.
Yeah.
And it took them a year to get rid of me. And then I had to sue them, the National Football League, in order to get released so Oakland could pick me up.
Gotcha. Now, at that time when you decided to leave Minnesota, did you think your career was over?
No, I knew I still could play. I mean, I didn't know that they could hurt you like that. That's one thing. I didn't know that they could hurt you.
When you say hurt you like that, meaning?
Well, they doing Kaepernick.
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 Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know that they could hurt you like that.
Okay. And what, in your opinion, what's being done to Colin Kaepernick right now?
Well, actually, what they're doing to him now is probably trying to get some kind of, I think they're trying to get some settlement with him where they done gave him some money, but he don't want to say they gave him some. But they had to settle some kind of money with him because he in good shape.
But
they sent us letters about him and everything
right.
like that. He in good shape.
Do you think he'll ever play again?
Well, he can't play.
Why is that?
Well, actually, the owners of the league will probably feel like they've been degraded because if they let him play, that means it'll be like letting Martin Luther King march or something.
Wow. Okay.
So they can't do it.
Gotcha.
They don't mean no harm. It's just business.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's something that you experienced with Minnesota.
Right.
So you
all of the boys who were sitting down with Kaepernick, they are not playing no more. All of them who was kneeling down with him, all of them have disappeared. So you don't see it anymore because the owners is telling them you can't do that.
Yeah, yeah. So at what point did you know, you go to Denver, leave Denver, Minnesota, off to Oakland. At what point did you feel your career was over? It was time to hang up the cleats and move on to something else?
Well, actually, I just decided that on my own. I just felt that I didn't love it no more.
Wow.
I didn't want to play, and then I didn't have to take that. In other words, I had saved up a couple of dollars, and I felt like I didn't have to
Time to go, yeah. What do you think tarnished your love for the game?
Well, what tarnished my love for the game was just seeing different things happen. Like, I first was hurt when I was with the Broncos, and when they wouldn't let Marlon Briscoe play quarterback.
Ah, okay.
I was first hurt about that.
Okay.
We didn't have any good quarterbacks. Steve Tenson, some of them, they were Jackie Lee, they were sorry as all our doors.
Sorry, he said, yes.
When Marlon came in there and started playing, we started winning a couple of games and stuff like that, but the people in Denver decided that they didn't want Marlon. So you got to realize people, the spectators
fans,
can
yeah.
dictate what to do.
Wow.
When they boo Marlon when they introduce him, that means they didn't want him to be the quarterback.
Wow. Because
Not
he was black.
because he was doing good.
Yeah.
They just didn't want him to be the quarterback because he was doing good.
Because he was black.
Right.
Right.
And not only was he good at quarterback, he even went to Buffalo and Miami and became an all-pro wide receiver.
Yeah.
First thing in life ever happened like that. He was just that good.
Wow. So he was an athlete.
He was an athlete.
So.
And he was this big.
Yeah. So not seeing someone
5'7" or 8.
5 feet nothing, right?
Yeah.
So seeing someone get, not the position that they deserve in your eyes, and that seemingly because I'm sure back in that time you guys had to band together and stick together.
Right.
Right. So that tarnishes your view of the league, and then what else happens to kind of let you know I'm done with this? I don't love the game anymore.
Well, actually, going to seeing everything there, because really Marlon Briscoe should have never been the quarterback. They had a quarterback named Joe Gilliam who was at Tennessee State. Now, he should have been the quarterback, but Bradshaw and Green and all them cats at Pittsburgh, they all turned white on him. They didn't want him to take Bradshaw's job. But if you do search the record, he had won about 5-6 games before Bradshaw could come back, but the black boys voted for him to come back. And once they got rid of Joe Gilliam, they got rid of him, and he ended up, killing himself. He never, you know what I mean, that's just how that goes. But he was bad, Joe Gilliam. He came out of Tennessee State.
Okay.
And his dad was head coach down in Tennessee State.
Gotcha.
But he was a real quarterback.
Gotcha. So you decide your career is over. You're done. No more love for the game. What did you already have a plan of what you were going to do, life after football?
Well, actually, during that time, when I was playing, I already had I had a Gulf service station. I was the first one that had a Gulf service station here in 1964.
Okay.
When I signed it, the Broncos bought that for me too.
Wow.
But
So they were
Frank
good for
Hampton,
something.
Yeah, Frank Hampton, he had the Gulf Service Station. I don't know whether y'all ever heard of him or not. Frank Hampton, he had the Gulf Service Station.
Okay.
And once I played, he came to me as a older man and say, "You want a service station?" I said, "I don't know nothing about no service station."
Mm-hmm.
He said, "I want you to get
Have
one
it.
of my service
Wow.
stations, and I'll show you everything
How to run
it is to do.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to do anything. All you got to do is put your name up there, Denson Gulf."
And that'll sell
That
it.
was
Yeah.
it. And I know nothing about no business or anything.
Yeah.
I stayed in there about 15 years in the service station, so I was orientated for business, as you call it, an entrepreneur. I knew what to do.
Gotcha.
So from there, I went to so many different businesses to it's a shame. I've had nightclubs, stores, grocery stores, I had everything. But I learned that because I knew I wanted to be a free person, so I had to do it on my own.
Free person. What does that mean for you? You've said that a couple of times.
Well,
during the
it
show.
means that, like I say, you know, I don't belong to nobody but to God.
Mm-hmm.
And I belong to you if you desire me to.
Mm-hmm.
But I love the fact that no white man and no black man tell me they're going to cut me off in the morning if I don't play ball.
Gotcha.
I'm fed by the love of God for what I do.
Yeah.
And don't go to church.
Yeah. Now, one thing I want to ask you, because we see, you know, you see guys making the transition from playing ball, and they kind of have this time in between where they kind of feel lost. And I actually had someone on the show that said when you've been playing ball your whole life and it's over, you kind of don't know who you are because you found your identity in that. I already know that wasn't the case with you, but did you ever have a time where you're like, man, I missed the game? And was it hard for you to kind of cut that off and stay focused?
Well, I miss it every day. I mean, I'm in the TV every day, minute. I hollering when somebody do something wrong. Ow, wow, I'm hollering and screaming, and I'm not playing no more. You know, I'm in that. You know,
Yeah.
It's really bad to say that, but that's just the way it is. You
Yeah.
know. But I know good and well, I be looking at them and holler, man, good God, man, you need to do better than that. You can't do that, so I'll take the place of them. So I really play every day, but I'm not participating personally, but I play every day. I watch the TV like I'm playing
Like you're playing.
basketball. I love LeBron James.
Okay.
You know, it's just like that. And then I love Cam Newton. It's
Okay.
just, when they do something wrong, it hurts me real bad. You know. And
Are they
then
free?
I can't, no.
They're not free.
LeBron is.
LeBron is free.
Yeah,
Cam's
is
not free.
He's locked down.
He's locked down.
There's a difference, you know. He's free, but he's free. He's tied up in a way that he can't control himself.
Yeah, yeah.
But LeBron is definitely Martin Luther King. He could walk that walk and he could talk it.
Yeah. When you look at the game today versus the game when you played, if you were, I mean, because you're 78, an amazing, good-looking 78-year-old, still able to do some things for yourself. But when you look at the game today, if we transferred you into this era right now, playing tight end, would you want to play tight end or wide receiver?
I'd be a wide receiver.
Okay, you'd be a wide receiver. So in this day and age, you're a wide receiver for the Denver Broncos.
Right.
Do you still last 10 seasons, or can you go longer in your career playing today?
Well, you could go longer now.
Okay.
You could go longer because the rules and regulations, they don't beat you up like they used to beat us up. They can't touch you.
Yeah, and there's more players on the field now, because back then
Right.
you were only playing with how many on the field?
Well, 30.
30. Okay.
Now they got 54 and stuff like that.
On the team,
But what
right.
it is that during the time we was playing, they could hit you. Now they can't hit you.
So when you see the game today,
I could do so many things today
wow.
that I couldn't even touch during that time.
Yeah, yeah. It was one of your best seasons, 1967, you had
Right.
over 800 receiving yards.
Right.
Playing today, what would your stats look like?
2,000.
Wow. Easy.
Because you're free.
Yeah.
The run and catch passes and stuff like that.
They're not hitting you like they
No.
were back then.
No, they're not hitting you. And then the quarterbacks is so good
Yeah.
throwing the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, they're really excellent.
Who's your favorite quarterback to watch right now?
My favorite quarterback right now is Wilson.
Russell Wilson?
Russ.
Yeah.
You know,
Is he free?
I don't want to say that about Russell.
Because he's your favorite.
Russell got, you know, Russell, I think, I
Also
think
hard
Russell's
question.
in control. Russell got a lady that might can control it.
Ah, okay. Shout out to
See, you got to
Sierra.
be free too. See,
Yeah.
I got a wife, but I'm free.
Gotcha.
Do you understand? I'm not controlled by that neither.
Gotcha.
That's what I mean. See, I'm not trying to be funny, but that's just,
Yeah.
you know, you got some people control you, some people control that, but when you know you're not controlled,
Yeah.
you know,
Free to be you.
you're free to be yourself.
So if you were playing for the Denver Broncos today, there have been many that have come and worn your number, right?
Right.
You were number 88 for the
88,
Denver Broncos.
right.
Who's the best wide receiver that's come after you that's played with that number?
Well, is a person that the best one I like is they don't like it.
Okay.
Well, who don't like it? I said one of y'all like it.
Who would it be?
He on the TV now. You call him a horse mouth.
Oh, Shannon Sharp. Oh, Shannon did wear 88.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you think he was the
He was
best
a bad boy.
that wore your number
They don't like it.
at Denver Broncos?
Yeah.
Wow. If you could give, we have the draft coming up. The virus hasn't stopped the draft.
Right.
It's still going to go on in
Right.
Vegas. You know, there's tons of athletes watching this. If you can give them any type of advice, I think I know what it would be, but I think it would be better if it came from you. What would you tell these young African-American men today that are making all this money?
Well, number one, they got to be able to adjust to the situation that they're living in. A lot of the athletes coming out, you know, with the situation they're in now, they don't know what's going on night or day. And they don't want to live for the system. You know, they want to impress the system. And you can't impress the system. You got to be part of what's going on and adjust to living with it, accept it the way it is, because you're going to either live or you're going to die. It's as simple as that. Ain't no other way out of it. That's the way life is. And if they don't take the grip of it and control the system thing, is that somebody going to give you this, somebody going to give you that. You got to be able to say, I don't want that. I'm not going to take that. Because the boys stick together, and you got some boys who like smoking, and they entice you to do it, and you're going to have to control your own destiny. That's number one what you got to do. You got to be self-preservation of law and nature. You got to ride the white horse. You can't ride no pony. You got to be tall in the saddle.
There you go. I thought you were going to say tell them to be free.
No, but you're going to be free when you do that.
Gotcha.
See, when you ride a pony, you're not free.
Okay.
When you ride a big white horse, you're standing
You
tall.
free.
You ever seen, what the name of the picture? You ain't never seen this?
Django. Oh,
You know who
Django
I'm talking about,
Unchained.
Django.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Telling him, he bad.
Right. So, for all our young football players, be a Django
Django,
Unchained.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, that's what we leave it. Mr. Denson, it has been a pleasure. I'm sure we can go on for a whole
Okay.
another hour if we had. But
All right.
I think what I want to do is maybe get some of you and your old teammates maybe together and have a conversation and kind of continue.
Well,
this
you know,
on.
that
would be good.
probably would be nice. But like right now, most of my teammates are not here, and then the boys is here. They, you know, it's hard to even catch them. I mean, like LeCount and stuff, I know him. Colvin, I know him. The only one really here is Burroughs, I think.
Okay. We'll get it together. We'll figure it
But
out.
I was just saying, you know, a lot of those boys is in a different thing where they, you know, I don't know, but I don't mind if they come. I come with them.
Okay. Sounds
no
good.
big thing.
We'll put in a call. Listen, thank you for joining us.
welcome.
Thank you to your daughters
You're
who are here
welcome.
to support you. I'm sure you guys heard the live studio audience here at 904live.com. Listen, don't forget you can catch this episode on replay if you weren't able to join us this evening. Go to our YouTube page, Get in the Game with Satara J, and you can see all of our former guests from the series Life After Football. Don't forget to follow us on social media, Facebook, Satara Bunch, and on Twitter and Instagram at Bunch of Legs, and that's LEGZZ. Thank you to my producers, the best momager there is in the country, my stylist, Barbara J. And thank you guys for joining us this evening. And if you know anyone who would like to be a sponsor or partner with Get in the Game, tell them to reach us at getinthegameshow@gmail.com. We will see you next week. For those of you who missed part 1 with Leon Searcy, I need you to go back and catch up on that, because part 2 is coming to you live next Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. We'll see you guys then. Have a good night.